saw that it was offering that. I mean, seemed a long way to travel, though. I've kind of heard from all the speakers, I think, that he's having. So I saw that it was. If we didn't have all these dogs, I would probably make it a vacation for me and the wife, but then it would have been worth it.
But it's not that far of a travel for the Europeans.
Yeah, I'm going.
Yeah, no one wants to talk to Craig.
Oh man, I'll buy you a beer. Are you going, Clint? No, you're not. You're staying.
No, we're not going. Yeah. SIA eventually, the plan always was there's SEO Rockstars, right? And SEO Rockstars is great. It's a separate brand for Dory, but for the most part, it promotes SIA, right? And then we looked at our user base, and I would say about half is actually in Europe. So, and not a lot of Europeans, as you know, they can just pack up all their stuff and jump across the planet just to go to a conference for a weekend or whatever. So, we wanted to start having a conference over in Europe. And then COVID came, and we were like, well, okay, we're not doing that right now. And, you're stuck in passports and all that madness. So it's still the plan to carry that over. It would be nice. I want to go back to Great Britain again. My wife wants to see Ireland. So.
Yeah. I mean, if you need help, I'm sure myself and Craig Campbell could help out if you want to run it in Scotland. And there's loads of guys in London as well. So,
I think Scotland would be better than London, just from what I've heard about. Just from what I've heard about Bright Local and the experience of that conference. You know what I mean?
Was that in Scotland? I missed
no,
that.
Bright Local is in London.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah. And it just seemed like the crowd, from everything that I've heard, right? All of the crowd is really white hat, and let's see, even Craig had problems. I mean, he went with his wife. His wife got pushed around and some crap, and then Craig got kicked out of the conference because he defended his wife. And that kind of stuff. This is why invite that, where I can go to someplace cool like Scotland. I've never been to Scotland. I've been to London. I mean, it was in the 90s, right before they blew up Piccadilly Circus, but I was in London. But I've never been to Scotland. Scotland would be cool to see.
We're going to, just so that you know, coming from San Diego, it was a lot cheaper to fly into London. So we're actually doing 3 days in London on the way up to Aalborg and then coming back via Paris. So that was a pretty swing trip, because it's not very, all those places are very close more than we're used to,
Yeah.
Paris is closer to Aalborg than LA is to San Francisco.
Well, I used to live in Germany. We spent 6 years there, and I drove to Paris. That was a nice drive. Drove to Netherlands, Amsterdam. That was nice.
Yeah.
I don't think I want to go back to Paris, though. So I wish you the best of luck in Paris.
Well, I went there with my wife. We compromised and went where she wanted to go. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
I went to London last year for SEO Underground, which was pretty cool. And then we stayed a week in London just to be tourists, and that was nice. London's a crowded and expensive city, but we knew that going in. So
yeah. Well, I mean, it's important to go before it becomes a Muslim country. So I mean, I think that's good.
What do you got against Muslims?
Well, I mean, it sure changed London.
Well, the world changes. I mean,
yeah, I know. But I mean, there was something cool about it being Britain, but those days are over. So
Just perspectives, right?
Yeah.
I enjoyed London. I spent we were kind of what downtown, Big
Mhm.
Ben, all that stuff. And when I was there, and I was in my 20s, so it was kind of different perspective than if I was going today. I probably wouldn't even want to be in downtown London. I want to go see the countryside and that kind of stuff. Just because I'm older and I just don't want to be surrounded by people.
Yeah, that's the trouble with the world, just people everywhere.
Yep.
Yeah.
Elon needs to make the moon place, and I'll go live on the moon place with Elon.
Plenty of space.
It'll be it could be worse people to get stuck on the moon with Elon Musk. That'd be awesome.
I wouldn't bet
Hey, are you
against.
gonna get 10G internet in Greenville?
Not anytime soon.
You have Comcast there? Who's your
No.
cable?
Spectrum and
Oh yeah.
yeah, Spectrum's the main one. They've
Spectrum just got 1G.
and they here, at least in North Carolina, they give out, territories. The government does, and says, okay, growing up in Columbus, Ohio, you could sign with any of 4 different companies. With a phone call, they'd switch. They all use the same hardware, and
Yeah.
none of them had territories. You could just switch just like that. But down here you can't. You don't have access to the other carriers unless you want to go with a satellite or something like that. Where
Yep. It's the same here in Arizona and the same in Washington. There's only one provider in that area. So Comcast, though, they just launched their 10G internet being available in like 10 different cities. I think it'd be pretty interesting to see. I don't know that I would notice though. I have Spectrum. It's 250 megabytes per second is what it was when I signed up here in Yuma. And then I upgraded to 1G and I didn't notice any difference. To be honest, my work just is the same.
I found an excuse to go to Kansas City not long after Google went in there and put in Google Fiber to check it out. This was 6 years ago, maybe, or something. I don't remember exactly, but it was fast as hell.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
I think Ted and where he's at in Seattle is on Google Fiber, if I'm not mistaken. Alex Nichols, hey Alex, how are you? Alex had that idea for the rotating anchor text test that has been implemented. All the control pages are out, getting indexed in the land, and then I just got to. And I had the JavaScript already written and the rotation for the anchor text done. So you just got to implement that page, you get that indexed and see where it goes. It'll be pretty interesting test, I think.
Did you see last week where Google put out their new best practices for backlinking?
Yeah, I shared that in
not a lot of big news, but I thought it was neat that they told us now that if you have no anchor text in your link, they'll default to the title of the article.
Yeah. And I think it was Ted. He came and said, "Oh, well, they're using it now." Let me see if I can find that stupid page.
I have it somewhere, but
I shared it. There it is. I got a lot of ideas for tests out of it. And let's see here. Crawlables. Let me show everyone what the hell we're talking about.
then they talked about having
So making your links crawlable. This was good. I've never seen this application, router links. I've never seen that. I have seen span, and I've never seen one on click go to. I've never seen that. So those some old ass CMSs are running that, or old ass programmers. But I've never seen those applied. I like how they did clarify relative versus exact URLs. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
kind of suspected this all along, using JavaScript for your backlinks would be an issue. Just because they don't like, it's not that they don't want you using JavaScript. I think it costs them money to have to sit around and wait. Let's see, anchor text placement. This was a good one for me. So this is the normal, right? And then what you're talking about, the blank anchor text. This one actually still, you can build links and pass juice. You're just not passing relevance.
Yeah.
Which I think passing relevance is better. And then to what you alluded to, could default back to the title. So that's one test. Can I do this, but use the title instead and pass the relevance? And so that will get us a little bit of information. So one, I'd have to run 10 pages, one of them with this version right here with nothing in it. And then for the same keyword, run the 10 test pages again, but linking with the title in there and see if it boosts it up. Because what I think is the links themselves is going to rank the page, right? It's going to cause some fluctuation. And I want to see which one is better, the one without relevance or the one with relevance in the title. So that'd be interesting. And then I like this. You can do, if you guys are doing image link building, this would be a good one to add in there. The alt text.
Yeah.
So that's going to be another test that I want to do. And I've been saying forever, don't use generic anchor text. So that was good to see that in there. Kind of validating. More descriptive. We've been talking about that. Anchor text is the relevance that everyone's looking for, that Google's looking for. They want you to be more descriptive. What is it about? But they don't want you to go all crazy, like doing a whole sentence. Yeah, so making it more concise. More concise means more clear. More clear means long tail, or even cut down less, which is good. There was no really test to do that. I mean, we could test this more descriptive versus crazy long, but crazy long always look weird to me. So I don't know anyone that's actually making these. Let's see. Too many links to each other. Too many links next to each other. That would be a good
every
test.
word in the sentence is a different link. That's crazy. Talk about diluting your juice.
I wonder if this applies to citations. So, I'm talking about citations, like a bibliography at the end of your article, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there's these 5 resources, and then there's not a whole lot in a bibliography, so it does, and it can kind of look like this in the code. So I wonder if that is what they would mean versus how they've got it here. So geez, so many times this year, right? And each one of those has a backlink.
Yeah, but we've all seen and done pages where we at the bottom will have more resources or something like that, and have 5 or 6 words that are all linked.
Yeah. So I wonder if we have to worry about that. That'd be interesting. The downside of that is we don't, like, I know that in health rehab specifically, my content, when I was having content put up and we didn't have the bibliography, I had to work a hell of a lot harder than I do now that we have that bibliography in there to rank those pages just on page alone. So I know that it works, but we don't know how much an impact that really works, and it's really hard to measure that. Versus 10 test pages and then make up some shit for your bibliography. That'd be kind of weird. I'm sure we could figure it out, but I know that it's working, so I just don't even give that much more. But it's good here. Citing your sources is good. I like how they have it They have it inside of the article, but I use the bibliography format. I use MLA. You can use whatever you want, MLA, APA, and it have the list down there. That way I don't have to have links going out inside of my content. I can put it all down at the bottom. It seems to be working just good for us in rehab. But this is good. I like this. Citing your sources. EAT, if you're into that whole concept, the EAT is your authoritativeness, and your content becomes more authoritative when you're out actually linking out to other people, and people are linking into you. So it is about backlinks. It's just about the proper way to do that. I think citing your sources is one of the most valuable steps, especially for that your money, your life stuff, where EAT is even more important.
You just mentioned them linking back to you also. So if you link out to the page for the author that you're referring to or something like that, and they link back, that's not seen the same as reciprocal links have been seen.
No, it's totally normal. Like if
well, yeah, I mean,
Robert wrote a authoritative paper on basket weaving, and then Craig wrote an article about basket weaving and cited Robert, and then Robert later went back and goes, "Oh, look, here's what Craig did," and he picked up another perspective as an add-on. It's totally normal. And if you read I shared my marked up version with SIA of the schema guidelines, and I looked at not schema, the quality rated guidelines, where it's actually talking about EAT. In reality, the EAT concept is probably a page of that 190 something page document. So there's this whole circle around people that are talking about EAT, and it's all based off of essentially one page. What the guidelines tell the raters to do is, if Craig is reviewing Terry's document, Craig is supposed to go and look up Terry and see how many other people are referencing Terry as an expert. So they're essentially going, Craig is finding the backlink that Robert gave Terry, and then Raymond gave Terry, and Dan gave Terry. And okay, so now he is authoritative because they linked to him. He is trustworthy. And because Terry cited Robert, Raymond, Dan's, and Craig's other documents concerning the topic, he has expertise. See how, so that's EAT is really, it's just a backlink game. And you can manipulate that. If you remember, my philosophy on backlinks is the relevance is passed in the anchor text. You can manipulate that with anchor text quite easily for the algorithm, because there's not a quality reviewer going to every one of Robert's pages and saying, is he an expert in this thing? It's the algorithm that's doing it. And if Google can't read, it can't read the document. So it has to do what? It's got to rely on the links, external links going out, internal links coming in, cited resources that he used to create that document, and people that are saying this document is awesome and it's about this topic. Ta-da! Hopefully that makes sense. It just makes the whole concept of EAT a lot better. And then the other things like Kyle Roof has got inside of Pop, is there about page? Is there a contact page? Is the address here? Those are all things that close that loop to say this is a real person, place, thing, business, and they know about these things, right? And all that ties in from the EAT and the quality rated guidelines. Let's see.
Are you willing to answer a question?
Say again?
Entertain a question?
Oh, yeah. I was looking at the ones in the YouTube chat. Go ahead. Shoot.
Oh, I'm sorry. I should have put that in.
Nope, you're good.
I have it's a question and an observation for you. I I have a client, he's a plastic surgeon, who has a pretty heavy duty social media influencer that is really, really pissed at him and trying to bring him down. And she is spending a lot of money, and she's doing negative SEO and a bunch of other pretty nasty stuff. One of the things that she's done is to put up sites that she's able to rank for a really easy search term, which is one of the brand names of a new website that he did. And I mean, these sites are Italian, and they have these weird gobbledygooks. If you were to click on it, some of them are taking you to a malicious site, where it says, you won an iPhone, click here to collect it. And of course, I haven't clicked on any of those, but I've been able to report those to Google as malicious software, and some of those go down, and then they come right back up, and she fills them. Whoever's doing this for her is filling it with spammy links to try to get people to create. I mean, they're really strange. They're like dark gray backgrounds with black text and lots of 40 links in them. So yeah, the old IT network, as you put it. But what I was able to do is I used this still. I mean, obviously, I need to push as many of those as I can down. It's a relatively easy term to rank for. So I spun up 4 cloud sites really quickly, and then did secondary backlinks to those. I swear to God, they ranked in 24 hours.
Yep. Yeah, those are working really good. I just ran a test for SIA. I just got to publish it. And Yext and a lot of those services have like 10 to 14 different cloud services.
Yeah.
And I built a page in HTML, and I put it on all 14 of those cloud services that my guys signed up for.
Mm-hmm.
And that page is doing just fine. And it's great for backlinks, and it indexed on its, all of them indexed really quickly and all that stuff. What you're talking about, that's not necessarily new, but there has been some pressure on Google from the internet SEO crowd on Twitter to actually combat those.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why Amazon S3 kind of jumped out of favor. Azure is doing decent now. Terry, I don't know if you're still using Azure a lot for your affiliate stuff. And you just you really got to bounce around with those, right?
Mm-hmm.
to get them in. But as you stumbled upon, the longer tail, the better those pages do, because they just kind of jump right in on those long tail keywords. And it's great for, one, you capture a lot of long tails, and you can actually use those for all your backlinks. And then 2, you can, if you put some sort of analytics on there, you can find the ones that have traffic and then go after with your real site. And kind of, remember the whole YouTube live phase where everyone was creating all those live videos with software to keyword fish? You can do that with the cloud stuff as well. But instead of just, going through 50, 60 YouTube accounts, you can just do your cloud thing, and you're building backlinks at the same time as you're doing keyword fishing. So it's actually beneficial for you. And if you're really lazy, instead of creating new pages, you just go in there and edit the HTML, put a meta refresh, and fire over onto the website you really want to rank for that keyword.
Yeah, it's been. But is there any way to track the who's doing those IT sites? I mean, some of them are Polish, some of them are Italian. But I'd love to be able to. I mean,
if they're smart enough to make those pages, they're smart enough to hide their footprints and stuff like that. I mean, you could follow the leader a little bit and get the IPs and stuff. But at the end of the day, unless you have the technical expertise to pry through their proxies and all that stuff, you see it on TV. Yeah. Doing all that madness, you're never gonna find out who's.
That was my opinion, but I wanted to You know, I mean, they probably bought it on the dark web and paid for it in Bitcoin and.
Yeah. I mean, if it was a stateside thing, like she was in the States and you were in the States, or your client was in the States, I mean, that's as easy as a lawsuit. You can stop that shit quick. And so.
Well, the problem is I can't prove it's her. I mean, you could logically prove it's her, but there's no like smoking gun, you know, that.
I mean, if you tie things together enough, you have a good lawyer. I mean, technically, you don't need to prove it's her.
Yeah.
You can logically say, "Yeah, I know it's you," and send the cease and desist letter. They don't do it, then you kind of go on from there, right? It's correlation is not causation, but if this lady's talking shit, next thing I know, I got 5,000 websites pointing at my thing. I think it's pretty safe to say that you're responsible for it. You may or may not have done it, but you were the one who facilitated it. So, you just kind of figure that stuff out. If it was state to state, in your case, I think you're just going on the right. You're on the right track. Just let them. They're going to do what they're going to do. And you just put other good things in the way and just be done with it.
And she even, I don't know how she's doing this, but she's gotten in his area, if you do a search for this company, it says Malabi malpractice. It brings up his name in the related search terms for Google. So she's been able to manipulate those, but I was able to get those cleared out by just writing to Google and go, they're not related searches. They don't have anything to do with one another.
Yeah, you can do that, or you can do CTR. It's probably how she got him in there, CTR manipulation. I got a test running right now to see if we can actually force a map in there. There's a guy who's offering services. You can forcing a map listing inside of auto suggest. So if like Malawi, what did you say? Malawi scam or whatever, right? If you search that enough with the brand and there's a map associated with it, supposedly it'll pop. We're trying to figure that out. Someone has figured out how to do it for keywords in local, and they're charging like $500 a location, which all sounds fine and good. I mean, it looks cool if you start typing roofing contractor and your map listing shows up in there, right? But how many people are actually clicking on it? Is it useful? And so that's kind of where we're at with that one.
Okay. Super.
And this is what I'm talking about. This here. See how these addresses are showing up?
Mm-hmm.
On the maps. We think it's CTR and it's causing that. So we're just trying to figure that out.
Yeah, used to do that with MTurk, Amazon's Mechanical Turk.
Yeah.
And
well, it's different than the auto suggest manipulation. So Mechanical Turk and the was it E-Rock, where he's using job postings.
Yeah,
he can manipulate this by getting people to search these as part of the job postings, but it was never bringing in the maps. And so I'm trying to figure out if we can use that to bring in the maps. And this is the keyword that we're trying to deal on, and nothing's kicked in yet. So one is it CTR, and two is how much CTR do we have to do to accomplish it? And I think I have it set up I'm using somebody else's custom made tool too, and I'm trying to have it. I think it's set up for 200 searches a day. But the theory is it's going to need a whole lot more searches than that.
and is there an ROI? Like you say, how many people click on those suggested?
Right. So the person that we got pimped this package again is $500, and they were selling it to the franchisor. There's 100 franchisees times $500. I mean, this sounds cool. It looks cool, and if I could do it, it would be a great sale. But is it at the end of the day? Is it really going to do anything for you? And when you only have $400 to actually spend on SEO for each one of those 100, I mean, you just blown your SEO budget. For what? Are you going to get any leads out of it? So,
And if somebody does that, does it just quit if they quit doing whatever they're doing, or does
Yeah.
it linger? Or
yeah, that's another thing. And if it's CTR and it's that easy, let's say they do quit, and if you're paying a provider to do it, who's to say that if you stop and then they just go, all right, and go find someone else and you're can push you out. If it stays when you quit, right? So if it stays when you quit, and then you can easily repeat it, and then there's only allowed one map, and this is the new one that's famous, and then they just push you out dead. So there's a whole lot of concerns about that. It's still cool, but and I'd like to know how to do it. But I'm suspecting that it's not as valuable as they're making it out to be.
That's ego points for the client.
Yeah.
Look, I'm in the search results.
I tried roofing and my map came up. I'm so awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, for a roofer, if you think about it, $500 to get one roof a month, really good ROI.
yeah,
But is it going to get you that one roof a month? And then the other downside is how the fuck do we prove that that's what it did? Because that thing goes to GMBs, and we have no way to trace that traffic back to the original source, the user flow. We can't see that. So I guess you would have to count as a win as if you got that and then your insights on the Google Maps went up, then it was beneficial to you. Assuming you did nothing else with the Google Maps. Let's see. Alex has a question. Is it worth linking up to the category page from all the product pages with the exact match? This is a very competitive niche. Building Nitro links to all the product pages. If it's very competitive and you're trying to rank the category for the primary keyword, then that would work pretty good, in my opinion. Because Google likes category pages anyway, and product pages, I mean, unless it's a really popular product, not very much search volume for those kind of things, right? But the categories, you're looking for a new pair of shoes, you're looking for a new t-shirt, you're looking for a new, carburetor, you want carburetors, you want to see a multitude of carburetors, not just one specific one for Metalbrock. In those situations, ranking the category page just makes a whole lot more sense. So sending that juice from the product pages and then building links to the product pages and interlinking the product pages will stack up that power and actually make that whole category much more important. And as you add more products, you can build less links because that link juice is already spread out throughout your whole silo. That's kind of how I would handle that. Roger, I have a service page which is focused on a keyword, close-up magician. It's linked from the homepage, but is it hurting me if I have close-up magician the title of the homepage? Yes, you need to pick a page. And if you already have a page, the close-up magician page, the inner page, I'm assuming it has close-up magician in the URL. Then you need to de-optimize the homepage for close-up magician. You can mention it, but you certainly don't want the title tag to be close-up magician because you're trying to rank that internal page, not your homepage. I'm assuming that your page is probably branded for you. So Roger Lampin Magician, right? So that's kind of where I would have the title tag for the homepage, and then close-up magician that you're ranking for. You're trying to rank for in that other page. That would be the title tag in that other one. And then the follow-up, should I link to every location page from the service page? That's really it's a silo question. You have one service page. I would say that the service page, well, you can. You kind of think of it like a buffer. Let me do this. This worked earlier. If it doesn't work now, then I guess you're all out of luck. All right, so this silo stuff, I think I've been teaching this stuff forever. You have your home page. And then you have a location page. And then you have a services page. The location page lists your different cities, city 1, city 2, city 3. The service page lists your different services. Service 1, service 2, service 3. Each of these places offer one or all of these services. So you could link to them and mention each of these services. And then on each of these, you can mention each of the cities. It's totally fine. It's sending a loop. The important thing here is it's harder. Let's say you have 100 of these and 100 services. You're not going to have 100 services, but let's say you had 100 services and you're trying to rank each of these. It gets really stupid expensive to build links to all this stuff, right? So what you really want to do is build links to these pages right here. And what happens is, unlike Alex, where he's sending the Nitro juice up to the categories, which you can send Nitro, Alex, to the category pages as well, but you can send them to the product pages. Doing it this way, it's sending the link juice down to the cities, and it's just cheaper to do it. And then if you have a hard city, one that is kind of a pain in the ass to rank for, you would actually send links specifically to that, just that one hard city, and let the link juice for the easy cities kind of just take care of it itself. If you have it set up where these are all interlinked, like in the diagram, so this one goes here, and then here, and here, and you only link to the location side, you're sending it all to the service stuff too, and you're kind of whacking things out. So you want to send them to both the location and the service area page. Let the link juice flow down, and then ergo, all of that stuff works together to promote these easier pages. And let's say you got, I don't know, this is the Woodlands, and this is Magnolia, and this is Dallas or Houston. Houston's going to take forever, so now you can send links specifically to the Houston page to rank this 10 at a time, and then these two pages up here get your consistent, and you can actually increase the value of your backlinking by doing that. But there's no, honestly, if these pages are templated out, my pages are templated out, so I don't have to reference these service areas. Mine look like this. Ooh, bless you. Mine are interlinked. So let's say this is Houston, and then there's all these sub neighborhoods. I interlink these. And then I'll send links to them. But I never link to the cities because the services, because these are specific pages for, in my case, there's a lot of franchise stuff. So the franchise as a whole, they all offer these services. Each of these locations offer a service as well. But I mentioned the service on the page. And then I have schema, and schema links to the service pages. Makes sense. So I don't have any backlinks in here. I have it in schema referencing these and building the relevance so that I can rank these location pages for city service, city service, city service. And yay, the whiteboard worked. It's good. Paul Hendricks. I wonder if this document from then regarding links is partly in response to the imminent flood of AI content. More than ever, they need links to be a dependable signal. I think it's just an update. I wouldn't read too much into it in that regards. The previous version was very vague on anchor text and all that stuff. I would argue that it's more towards the crawling and trying to figure out stuff than it has anything to do with the AI stuff. Because there's 3 trillion websites out there. They already have tons of content anyway to crawl, and they're not doing that. So the added AI content, yeah, it could cause some issues, but I think it kind of relates into the indexing problem that I've talked about before. If you don't have any links from your website linking to your content, then you don't care enough about it. So why should we? And then the other one is we've shown your page for 2-3 weeks or a month, and we're going to drop it out of the index because other people aren't linking to it. Because if it's not good enough for other people to link to, then why should we care about it? And so that's where I think the indexing stuff comes in, but I think it also handles their AI content issue too. Contabo is very good in both ranking and indexing. What is Contabo? Oh, Contabo is the cloud site. Got it. Thanks, Jesper. Let's see. There is a guy who created a document, Robert, back to your cloud site thing. His name was Chris, I think. He was with Holly, and he had that clouds course. And he went out and he actually kind of, as a part of his business model, went out and found all these cloud sites. I think it was like 50 of them that was on there. If you can get a hold of that, or just figure out a good way to dig out more cloud sites, that would probably help you out some more. And even if they don't all index, let's say you find 5 of them that index and rank really well, you can use the other ones to power those up versus buying PBNs and all that madness to boost them and kick them in there. Because ultimately, if your troll is serious enough, they're going to start doing some. They're going to notice that you've figured out how to keep them out, and it's not going to take long for them to reverse engineer that. And if you have all that stuff linking across the board, you just save yourself some headache down the future. Dan has a question about JavaScript on-page optimization, Ollie and others. Do you have the best practices that you're offering SEO for that if you're offering SEO service? Here's my only warning with the JavaScript stuff. There is precedent that at times Google's stopped rendering JavaScript. Ted Gabitis has gone so far as to claim that it was off for like 6 months. He came up with a way to test for it to see if that was being rendered and indexed. That content inside the JavaScript was being rendered and indexed, and then that is the basis for Carolyn Holtzman's index tester website, right? Because she one of those things that she did was implement Ted's script that he gave on SEO Fight Club to show that it's rendering or not. And you don't necessarily need the script to do this. All you have to do is put like a little schema line inside a Google Tag Manager and run the schema validation tool, and or actually the rich snippets validation tool, or and you can actually see the same thing where it doesn't fire off and Google's not seeing it. Or you can see it in the cache too. You can look in the cache and see that it's not rendering it. So, but in all honesty, it was 1 month in May where I saw that it was turned off all the time, and then the rest of the time was it was really more about crawling and your crawl budget, and oh, it's been off for 3 days, and then Google saw it. But really, just Google went to your site and just it crawled it, or maybe it just didn't feel like processing it, or whatever, right? So you have that issue if you're using on-page optimization via JavaScript. Other than that, 99% of the tools are all using JavaScript to create those overlay things. Google Optimize did, Microsoft Clarity did. Was the other one that the heat map, Hotjar, Google Tag Manager. They're all using that JavaScript implementation. Inlinks. So the only thing you really have to worry about is just being prepared to say when that's turned off if you see consistent drops for long term. And if you have that in place, you also have kind of a backup, right? So there are clients either because of regulations, privacy concerns, or whatever, that you can't have access to their website. So the best way to make those changes is those JavaScript overlay type things, Cloudflare workers, etc., for security purposes. And then there's just devs that you just don't want to work with. You put those on, and you're just done with them. But just make sure that you've had that conversation with your clients so that they know, hey, this is how we're implementing it in order to meet your requirements. This is the potential that could happen. It is, even if it does, it's not long term. You might see a small drop, but then everything will come back once Google's processing your normal. And typically, based off of the stuff that Holtzman's done, and based off of Ted's observations, and based off of my own observations, my own being you, Dan, you only saw that like 1 week out of an entire year, if that, right before a major Google update, and you'll be fine. Yep. As a matter of course for myself, like Inlinks, I love Inlinks. It's great. I don't use the JavaScript implementation, but the JavaScript implementation, all it does is add like this little baby schema and then do some interlinking stuff. The interlinking stuff is valuable to me because it gives me some different insights of where I could go, but I just implement it manually versus letting it do it. But other than that, I mean, do whatever works for your business. Use those tools. Yeah, Christoph. It was provable, right? So, but you have to know that it's off, and then for it to be really, in my opinion, for it to be really like you don't want to use JavaScript kind of thing to render content. It would have to be so consistent and so observable that it makes JavaScript kind of out of date, and Google's not going to do that. So yeah, I put that in a this could happen box, and this is why it happens, and it's usually all about crawl budget and reprocessing. And so when they're reprocessing large scales of data, i.e. after an update, they have to reanalyze all that stuff, right? So all the web pages got to get reanalyzed, and they do that based off of searches, and that's why it takes 2 weeks for a thing to roll out, because it's got to get washed through this new math system, rotated. And during that period of time, they want to make that as fast as possible. So they'll shut off JavaScript rendering while it kicks in. And then once they have the base or the bulk reprocessed, and they get the the new search results that they're looking for. They'll turn the JavaScript rendering back on and go back and do it again. It's kind of how you best talk about that. The conversation I would be having with my devs is, hey, 99% of my content is in JavaScript. That's bad. We need to figure out a better way to do that. that would be the conversation versus trying to freak them out. Then they'll probably be more likely to listen to you. Google Optimize getting killed. Yeah, I think it's kind of a money thing. That was a good tool, but there's all these other third-party tools that did the exact same thing. And the usability of those third-party tools was a lot better than Google Optimize was. You literally had to be a dev to use Google Optimize, where some of these you don't even have to have any of those dev skills. So the user adaptability for Optimize was low, and I think that's probably why they killed it versus Core Web Vitals. Stone Ape, what would be better for e-com? One large 100,000 products website or small niche specific categories? If there's advantage that can be exploited, if I already went with the small ones. Well, you already have the small ones. I would rank those first. You find out which niches are your really profit generators. And then you can create the larger website combining all your profit generators. So you don't necessarily have 100,000 products, but you've got really good websites for your small ones, and you combine those, and you have this bigger brand. And as the bigger brand comes more into focus, and you'll see that transition where your bigger brand is selling more than your smaller niche sites. You can use those niche sites to link to your bigger brand, and then start adding more products from the rest of your product line in, and hopefully your sales will jump up that way. That's kind of how I would do it. I've never been a fan of let's go out and find 100,000 products and ta-da. I mean, if you're an electronics website and you're selling capacitors and relays and all that stuff, then yeah, you're going to get it. Or fishing gear, you're going to get 30, 40,000 products. But 100,000 products, and right off in the beginning, I mean, it sounds like you want to be Amazon, but you're not going to be Amazon until you get a base set of products that are going to build that branding up. Should have got water before I started talking. Jesus. Let's see. I'm looking for a rank tracking service, preferably with Google BigQuery connector at a minimum, a decent looker studio connector. Any ideas? Advanced web ranking in a moment. I don't use any of that stuff for rank tracking. I just use SEO Power Switch Rank Tracker. There was a guy offering a training I saw with BigQuery and Search Console, but I don't think that's what you'd be looking for. So I'm afraid I won't be able to help. Your best bet is just to get a whole bunch of them listed out and see who has the ability to export in a BigQuery. And the rest of that, I mean, if you can handle BigQuery, you can handle creating a Looker Studio dashboard for yourself. Let's see. Seeing a lot of people wanting to sell their info sites because of Chat GPT. There could be good deals you had at moments of scale. Yeah, it's scale. It's the info sites and Chat GPT. It's really, I think for writers, SEO writers in particular, you know, those people who have actually zero writing skill but can put together an article for SEO. They're out of business now, in my opinion. Any small business owner can go into ChatGPT, fire up that thing, spit out a couple of articles. I mean, I have it running out, creating whole websites in about a day for about $500 using the API costs, with 400 pages of unique content. That's how easy it is. So those guys are toast. So yeah, if people are selling those info sites that are cheap, and you want to build a PBN network, it's probably a good time to get into that. That's what I would say. Let's see. I don't see any more questions. We'll be talking for an hour. I know it started late, but we'll be talking for an hour. So YouTube folks, I appreciate you. If you want to join in the after the show conversation, come check out SEO. I'm sorry, Jesus. Yeah, SEOintel.com. I had a brain fart. And sign up for SIA. Otherwise, we'll see you here on the YouTubes next week.